Actual footage of Magnus Carlsen leaving the Chess Olympiad yesterday evening. He made it back safe and sound, even found time to phone home. Guess who picked up? The one and only Vladimir Kramnik. They had a good chin wag. Magnus then found a few moments to brush up on his openings for the next day. Using his new subscription, got his beauty sleep in, 12 hours solid, upside down like a bat. Really helps the blood flow to the brain. Many chess grandmasters do that. And then he made his way back to the venue this morning, again focusing on that blood flow. He sits down at the board. Who's his next victim? Well, it's this guy from Slovakia, Grandmaster Viktor Gazik. He's a 25-61 top opponent, but not in Magnus's lead. 28 moves of destruction, playing for Norway. Magnus kicks off with d4. This is the 45th Chess Olympiad, Budapest, Hungary. Buckle up. Now we see knight f6. Magnus playing the most explosive move, does a little fist bump, explodes it out, e6 is played, and knight f3. Avoids a mainline Nimzo Indian, but Viktor, feeling frisky, chucks in that check anyway. Shoots it at Magnus. Knight bd2 to block the way there, and now b6, preparing to fianchetto that bishop. a3 puts the question over here, and we see captures. Why would you give up your bishop pair? Also, why would Magnus recapture, forgetting which way his ponies should move? Dad ashamed. Well, we're going to see some points to that, and we're going to see the points of Black's play after the bishop hits the Milky Way there. You've got good control over e4. The long diagonal is under siege. Easy to castle the king. Free and fluid pawn breaks in the solid structure centre. That's what Black's going for here. Magnus goes e3 in response. Castles, and now how about this? Who's playing this move? Bishop d3, offering an entire pawn, and ask yourself, Magnus has just played this against you. Are you capturing the pawn? Or are you a big wuss like Viktor who plays d5? Taking was apparently best, taking up the gauntlet, going for the challenge, but he backs down. I'm sure we'd have all taken it if it wasn't Magnus, right? Now we see Magnus castle the king, and Viktor gobbles up that C pawn, makes a nom nom noise, very delicious. Magnus recaptures with the knight, queen d5, and Viktor starts looking everywhere, all over the tournament hall, ceiling, around him, anywhere but Magnus's eyes. He's hoping he won't see the checkmate in one. Even goes off to grab a biscuit. Do let me know your favourite from this delectable selection. But Magnus, he sees it. Goes f3. He's world number one. Blocks that one out there. Exposes the king, but no worries. He's got it under control. Rook d8 played. Stops Magnus from erecting that big white centre. Now we see the bishop tucking back to e2. Anticipating the pawn breaks. Knight c6 played. Okay, stall laid out. e5's on the way then. Magnus anticipates with queen c2. And now surely you go e5 here. It is playable, different variation. But instead, we see this very suspicious move of rook a to c8. You can't quite put your finger on it. It's like when you're sat in the cubicle and the guy next to you coughs to hide the plot. You think something's afoot, something's going down. Did he just drop the kids off at the pool? Maybe. You're suspicious, you're not quite sure. b3 played by Magnus. Is he preparing to fianchetto that knight? Well, b5's now played. And yes, it actually comes. It hits b2 here. What is going on? The world's spinning, but it's headed for d3. Into that juicy c5 square. Have you ever seen anything tastier?
Mushrooms.
And now e5 comes, but the damage is done. Magnus now plays the incredible response of not taking on e5. Playable, but knight d3 here, taking advantage of this weakened outpost square and offering an entire pawn. You know, what about this? Surely this is good for black. Looks like everything's collapsing in the center, but this is the response. You kick the queen, you take control of this square, here's one option, and long story short, there's immense pressure now comes on these queenside pawns. This is just one sample line. This one's about to come under huge fire. If you ever take, the knight hops in, then there would be 3 pieces on the a6 pawn. These are just some of the themes, right? Big problems for black to hold on to the pawn. So this wasn't played. Instead, we see pawn to e4 and everything explodes into life because Magnus hits this square. That's a seahorse. He's attacking the bishop on b7, and hang on now, what if you just simply save that one from the direct attack? Well, then this pawn can take here and it can't be recaptured. Defended too many times, whoops, that's a good one for white, so that's not working, saving the bishop. What if you capture here, again not played, saying you take me, I take you. Well, now bishop recaptures with tempo, then you're picking up this bishop, no good. So that's why we see this move, an incredible looking one at first. Knight takes on d4, kamikaze. After this pawn recaptures, the queen takes back, all guns blazing akimbo, hits king, hits rook, Magnus sidesteps. Surely now you take rookie in the corner. Well, it looks good, but doesn't work because you can take here, hit the rook, let's say it saves itself, and now you can go bishop b2. The queen's only got one square, and this shuts it in jail. No get out of jail free card either. So we come back here. This is why the rook is immune. That's why we see takes on f3. Magnus does not capture with the bishop. It allows black to do this, get rid of the piece that was attacked, and then when pawn captures, the queen can take in the corner. This one no longer protected by the e2 bishop, so you haven't got the same queen trap ideas. This is just dropping off the board. That's why Magnus takes with the g pawn, mangles the pawn structure, takes on f3, now the best move. Yes, you chuck a piece, but then you can look at taking here. Once again, it's a different position, different game. White better, but there's some imbalance. Instead, we see bishop a8, but this is never going to cut the mustard. Magnus can go rook a2, rook b1, bishop b2, or bishop g5 here. Point is, connect the rooks, get the bits developed, and he's simply a piece ahead for 2 pawns. Best move, knight g4 to randomize. Use this pin which the bishop is creating, go for some stuff on the dark squares despite leaving this on, but not played. Rook d5 with minutes on the clock. Double attack, yes, but Magnus can take here. Hit the queen, which recaptures. Now go knight e4. What a centralized bastion. The queen comes to f4, looking to do some nasty stuff to the king. And now these are some of the top moves for white, according to Stock Sardine. But none of them played here. Magnus, true to his style, goes queen c1. Few onlookers start bleating away. Arbiter has to literally come and have a word. Loves getting the queens off. Black knows he can't go for it. Declines. Looks at the king some more here. Magnus goes rook g1. And as well as putting pressure on the king, now upon rook h5 threatening mate, you can go rook g2, all bases covered, no problem. So black goes rook e5, increasing that triple whammy pressure on the pony, but this is absolutely awesome. In chess, sometimes you got to try and one up your opponent. They might be like, yeah, hey, I'm going to 10 a reef, but you be like, well, I'm going to 11 a reef. Sure, you can take the pony on e4, but it ain't going to cut it because then I checkmate you here. And this rook also hanging unprotected. So if you try this, there's this. Mate threatened, white doing well here, an exchange ahead. So that's why the rook's double, covers that second cannon there, but Magnus can now take on b5. Yes, leaves the king defense, but this is more of a problem. So the rook slides up, keeps those 2 towers stacked, Tolkien proud, but rook a d1. And it's not just a great move, it's a move that causes resignation, the nail in the coffin, because the king's about to get checkmated, branked, that's back and rank, right? A portmanteau, look that word up. And if you go g6 or h6 to give the room, now you check anyway and you pick up an entire bishop here. Nothing to be said, nothing to be done. Magnus Carlsen, takedown, sweet chin music, 28 moves. Hope you enjoyed. Do smash subscribe today rather than unsubscribe, just for something different. And if you want to see another incredible game, have a look at the video on screen. Cheers.